Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we have some news today regarding the Immortal Empires. So, Creative Assembly have just dropped a blog. I imagine that it's not going to be live for you guys because, I don't know, their blogs just kind of break on release. But having a bit of early access to it, I've been able to just prepare a video and we can have a bit of a discussion. So, first than anything, it's coming out in beta, but we are aware that the game mode is now set for August. This means that it's not that far away, and I'm imagining that it's going to be maybe mid-August. It kind of makes sense, so 2 months from now. I could be wrong and they could put it for the end of the month, but even then it looks okay in terms of timing. I mean, I wish it was now here, but you know what I mean. Though with all that being said, there is a lot to discuss, so let's not waste any more time and jump right in. So we have our first big section here, which is what's new in Immortal Empires. Immortal Empires is much more than the sum of each game's content smashed together in a larger map. Rather, the new game mode offers a variety of new features and approaches to the combined battlefield. Okay, so far so good. Access to all 86 legendary lords from all 3 Total War Warhammer titles. I can't believe we're already at 86, wow. I mean, the series has been going on for a while, but like, it's a lot of characters. Anyways, let's move on. Be'lakor is now a legendary lord with his own faction. This is fantastic, it's been something that many people have been requesting, so it's nice to see that they've gone with this. Dedicated factions for a number of older legendary lords, including Grombrindle, Helmengorst, and Volkmar the Grim. Okay, this is actually quite interesting. So we're going to get a lot of characters that were stuck in the same starting position, and they're all going to have new starting positions, I guess. So this is pretty good. And dedicated factions? Alright, so Grombrindle could have something pretty interesting. Volkmar, I wonder where they're going to put Volkmar. I don't know. Gorst, I'm imagining, I don't know, stick him in the Southern Chaos Waste where nobody can actually see him. But this is good, this is good, I'm actually quite excited. Okay, new starting locations for 29 of the older legendary lords. This is fantastic, a lot of characters have needed a bit of a move, especially for lore-friendly stuff. I mean, we can already make an educated guess that Tretch is going to be moved to Crookback Mountain, and I wonder what else is going to get moved, but this is actually quite good. It does seem like they're listening to the fanbase, which is great. A new Sea Lanes feature which allows you to move armies between distant lands and continents from one side of the map to the other without leapfrogging them all the way across the map. This is great. I believe they had something like this in Empire. I'm not 100% too sure, but we've seen a mod that actually does this in Warhammer 2, so this is fantastic. It'll actually give us reasons, if it works as intended and it works like the mod, to be able to fight with other factions, because, well, we're going to be dealing with a whole world. So if I start in Lustria with Skrolk, then I could move up to Cathay and cause some trouble if I wanted to. This is going to be interesting. I really hope that it's got some options to move and it's not just one location to another. I don't know, we're going to have to wait and see, obviously. Next, new dynamic endgame scenarios, randomized mid to late game challenges we're introducing to challenge the late game steamroll, where the player is so powerful that there's little to no challenge left, and less of a reason to complete the campaign. Think greenskin invasions or resurgences of the undead as a few examples. This is great! I spoke about this in previous videos where it would be nice to have other events, not just the Chaos Invasion. Give us a proper kind of end times feel without it being the end times. So maybe a greenskin invasion, that should be really, really cool. If we could see like a big war spawning near us and going to do damage and stuff like that. It'll give us reason to carry on playing, yeah, and it will be more dynamic. It will definitely be better in terms of roleplay ability, because we know in Warhammer Fantasy loads of invasions just start out, and you want to see this thing actually be engaging. Revamped victory conditions. Most players don't end up finishing campaigns, and we want to give them better reasons and a greater level of satisfaction for doing so. As such, we've simplified the victory requirements into more meaningful objectives while avoiding any arbitrary playstyle requirements. Okay. So one issue I do have with the Mortal Empires in Warhammer 2 is that you would have to pretty much just take over the whole world, and I guess they're going to get rid of that. I think that's probably going to be a bit better, because I can only imagine just starting off with Skrolk again, and then, oh yeah, you have to go take over Wei Jin, and it's like, that's on the other side of the world. If the sea lane works, yes, that would be a good way to do so, but maybe I just want to have a casual thing. Maybe it's just take over a certain number of settlements and then you're done. Obviously with the option to continue it, so you can actually, paint the map, which I kind of like doing myself. Corruption rework. Players will have new tools for spreading or reducing corruption through more active usage of their armies. Small amounts of natural reduction will also be available to uncorrupted factions. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. We've already seen the corruption does have a lot to play, especially with the Warhammer 3 factions, the demons, So obviously, we're going to need to be able to reduce corruption as anyone else, and then there's also Skaven corruption, there's vampire corruption, we know there's all these different types, so I can't wait to see what happens here. And finally, 8-player multiplayer campaigns. And as a bonus, only the host of an Immortal Empires multiplayer campaign needs to own all 3 games. Friends who only own Warhammer 3 will still be able to join the campaign, though the Legendary Lord choices will naturally be limited to the ones they own. Okay, that's not a bad idea. So you'll still be able to see how the factions work if you're only used to Warhammer 3 and you only own that, and then you can just go from there. Okay, yeah. That's actually quite good. That will incentivize people to buy DLC, and I think that's a pretty good thing. I know some people who've only gotten into Warhammer 3, and they are kind of hesitant given the, what's happened about buying Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2, but I think something like that will actually be good for the community. That's not too bad. Okay. Now, they've got one last section here, which is, as you can see, on top of the enormous collections of content, there are plenty of new features and improvements on the way, including a new lease on life for many of the older legendary lords. We'll be talking about each of these lords in the weeks to come, so watch out for more deep dives into them in the future. Okay, so reworks for lords? I'm not sure if I'm understanding that correctly, but if it's the case that they're getting reworked, I wonder who's getting reworked. I imagine some of the ones like Grombrindle, Gorst, and Volkmar, because they're mentioned there that they're getting dedicated factions, but maybe some more? I don't know, we're gonna have to wait and see. Either way, I'm actually quite excited about this. This is quite good. This is quite good. Okay, so we got the next section here, which is called Why We're Calling It a Beta. When Immortal Empires arrives this August, you'll notice that it initially appears with a beta tag until such time as we feel that it no longer applies. When we first mentioned this earlier this year, we noted some of the concerns being raised within the community about the decision. Will Immortal Empires be finished when it launches? Will it be implemented in smaller parts over time? How long do we have to wait until it is fully playable? These are all fair questions in the absence of the proper context. So we want to take a moment to explain why we made this choice and what you can expect from Immortal Empires when it actually arrives later this year. And here we have a really nice screenshot actually of Balthasar Gelt and Queek. It's pretty nice. Anyways, so yeah, okay, fair. They want to provide some context, so yeah, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and talk. So continuing with this section, to begin we need to talk a little about how Immortal Empires is built. In order to create the game mode, the development team had to collect and combine the content, features, mechanics, systems, and code from 3 different code bases into a single mega campaign. Now, taking big chunks of content, data, and code from one game and porting them into another is always a challenge, speaking from experience in this regard, and takes a significant amount of time and tailoring to get all the pieces to play nice with each other and work properly. Okay, so this is a dev talking, obviously. I have no experience with game design whatsoever, so I am inclined to believe him or her. Even after the technical implementations are done, there's still bugs to find and fix, as well as a significant amount of playtesting to ensure that, as an example, one race isn't ridiculously under or overpowered, or that each race's unique features and mechanics are working as intended. Okay, so they're playtesting it, that's pretty good. The fact is that we're expecting some races to be kind of OP anyway, it's just how it works with these weird campaigns. Especially it's Warhammer, so yeah. In short, Immortal Empires isn't just a port of content from one game to another, it's a mountain of phenomenally change-sensitive technical work. Here are a few examples of what's still being done as we speak. Okay, so they're giving us some examples. Lighting across battle maps is more advanced in Warhammer 3, so it takes time to get all the older environments reauthored to meet the same current standards. Hopefully this means that we won't get the current issues with the Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 maps as we had with Warhammer 3, like for example the Blinding Snow, which was just brutal. Achieving parity across other details such as the UI, character models, VFX, audio, and general game balance. This will be a gradual process that continues over time. Yeah, that makes sense, and I don't expect it to be done all throughout the beta. I mean, maybe the UI stuff should be done. We'll obviously have to wait and see when we get to see Immortal Empires, but I don't imagine it will be long now. Hopefully they'll start showcasing stuff. How long was it last time that they started showcasing stuff? Corruption is also a biggie. We've changed how it works quite fundamentally in Warhammer 3, and we're doing even more to improve it in Immortal Empires. It's a game system that touches every playable race in regards how they exploit, react to, or suffer from corruption, so it's a system that will continue to evolve until it settles in a good place. Okay, fair enough. I think corruption, how it works in Warhammer 3 base game, is pretty decent as far as we've seen. Though, yeah, I guess they've had to code those races. That's only just a number of races. Then we have to bring in the Warhammer 1, the Warhammer 2 races, and obviously all the different types of corruption, because we know corruption is then Skaven corruption, Vampire Coast, Vampire Counts. So, yeah, okay, all this makes sense so far. These are just a few of the more visible items that we have to contend with, and there are many, many more that could be a blog or frankly a novel of their own. We're determined to get Immortal Empires into your hands, but we want to be realistic. It won't be the final finished product on day one, just as Mortal Empires wasn't at its launch in Warhammer 2. Ultimately, this entire free game project won't truly be complete for years to come, which is why we're initially launching it under the banner of a beta. It's worth noting that it won't be an opt-in beta, we'll add it right into the main game for Warhammer 3, which means it won't divide the player base across separate versions of the game or harm the multiplayer experience if you want to dive into the new mode. Okay, so first up we'll talk about this, right? They're being very honest with us, and I think that's a really good thing. I think that's actually going to be quite beneficial to the player base as a whole. So them saying it's beta and it needs years fixing, but it's just them saying, look, we weren't happy with Mortal Empires when it released because it wasn't really complete. So yeah, okay, yeah, I totally agree, because we know that the game gets better as more patches come out. Remember, Warhammer 2 wasn't great at launch. Even with Immortal Empires, the Potion of Speed took a few years to actually come out, and just overall, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with this. I think this is a good thing. Also, the fact that the beta is going into the live version is fantastic. I think this is a very, very good move by Creative Assembly, because I was worried that we'd have to opt in and that would cause loads of problems. I know that was a fear for a lot of people, but yeah, no, this is very good. Honestly, I'm actually really, really happy that this is the case. You'd be surprised, because yes, I have been a little negative lately, but this is definitely a very smart move. I cannot applaud them enough. Alright, let's talk about the next section, which is Immortal Empires Day 1. So what will Immortal Empires be like come August? At present, our aim is for the mode to be fully content complete, in terms of the available races, factions, legendary lords, units, and geography, as well as all the extra features and improvements noted in the What's New section above. You'll be able to start a full sandbox campaign and play and conquer however you wish. Use any legendary lord accessible based on your game ownership from any of the free games, or experiment with the older legendary lords benefiting from their revamp, especially Ghost. Ho ho. Okay, so Ghost has a rework coming up. Oh, that's great. Honestly, I'm quite excited, because look, we did pay for... Wait, did they confirm that before and I've just forgotten about it? Let me just scroll up. Well, they gave him a new starting position, so yeah. Okay. So yeah, no, if they're actually confirming a rework here, I'm actually quite happy about that. Well, we did pay, what, that was £7 or something. I mean, we have to keep in mind that it was a Warhammer 1 DLC, so yeah, they weren't great when compared to the Warhammer 2 ones, well, later Warhammer 2 DLC. So if he's getting a rework, I'm all for it. Still might not feel too inclined to play him, unless it's really fun, so we're going to have to wait and see. But let's carry on. Given the sheer scale of the project, there are bound to be some visual and technical bugs, and we'll be providing a known issues list when Immortal Empires does go live. Nevertheless, we're confident that the game mode will be massive, packed with content, functional, and fun on day one. Yep, okay. No complaints there. And yeah, there's always going to be bugs and stuff like that, so I'm perfectly fine with some minor stuff. As long as it's nothing game-breaking, I mean, yeah, that's cool. I must admit I'm feeling very confident, but we do have one more section, so yeah, let's read over that. And this last section is called The Evolution of Immortal Empires. The moment the Immortal Empire beta goes live, its life truly begins. In the years to come, we'll continue honing and improving it, adding new features and improving existing ones, and introducing new content to help it grow over time. I like that they're saying over years, over years, over years, because this means that we're going to have a lot of DLC. At least I hope. But let's continue. Throughout this process, we'll want to hear from you about what you like, and yes, what you don't. We want to understand your impressions on things like the balance between factions, trends you're spotting across the campaigns you play, or anything that just rubs you the wrong way. We'll set up dedicated feedback channels for you to provide your thoughts, and we'll also be keeping a keen eye on the popular community hangouts like the Total War subreddit. Okay, so far so good. They want to be hearing us more. This is a good thing. So far so good. Then we've got a nice little shot here of a Carnosaur and some Saurus about to attack a Great Unclean One. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. I do like these cinematic shots that they produce. I just wish that they gave it to us in a higher quality because they just look really nice. They could be cool backgrounds. And the last section is quite important here. Major patches will still arrive alongside new content packs as they did in Warhammer 2, but we'll also be releasing interim patches between the content packs as well. Okay, this is good. This is very, very good. When we start seeing trends around certain topics and features in Immortal Empires, we'll bring those items to the forefront of the queue and react to your feedback as quickly and efficiently as we're able. This will be great because there's just certain things that really irks me about Warhammer 2. It's all the fact that, oh yeah, we have to wait, 7 months for the next DLC, which is the next patch, and that was just horrible. That was absolutely horrible. Okay, so far so good. With all that in mind, when the Immortal Empires beta goes live, the best approach is to consider this Phase 1. It'll be the most enormous and varied strategic sandbox we've ever created, with all the content you expect and more. And we know it'll only get better over time. More to come, so stay tuned for more about Immortal Empires and all the cool stuff coming for Total War Warhammer 3. Okay, I'm happy. This is a blog that I think the community has needed for a very long time. I think this type of communication is really, really good. I'm loving the honesty. I'm so happy so far with what we've heard. Just scrolling through it, everything just sounds a lot more genuine than previous blogs where it's all like they wouldn't say anything. So yeah, this is very, very good. I'm so happy. I think blogs like this are just really, really good because it just puts it out in the open. It gives us the expectation. It's not going to be perfect at launch, but they're trying their hardest to get everything in there. And yeah, it's a big game. It's a very big game. We have to take into account it's been, 3 games? There's so many lords. 86 they said in total? That's so much. So yeah, this is good. This is really, really good. I honestly think that this is a good way moving forward. So well done, Creative Assembly. It's actually put my mind at rest. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a bit of discussion. But I'm genuinely, I'm honestly feeling a lot better. I'm honestly feeling a lot better. I just hope they don't screw this up. That's my main thing. But right now, I have no reason to think that. So we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, let's talk and see what you guys think.